What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 300 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Buster! We run things, things are run we. Buster! Buster! Living color, do it differently. Buster! Buster! Large and in charge, like for the party. Buster! Buster! We set the pace, then everybody follow it.
7 flavors, best taste. Buster! Bolder, better, better. Pick your color.
We set the pace, then everybody follow it.
Buster! Live in full color.
Buster!
Let TDC Financial Services help you go for your goals. Whether you're thinking of taking that grand vacation, down payment on a house, higher education, TDC Financial Services has various plans that will allow you to go for your goals. Choose from the Accumulator Plus, Investment Starter Plan, and Fixed Deposit. Ready to go for your goals? Visit us at TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
A pleasant good day to you and yours. The time approximately 3 minutes moving away from the 10 o'clock hour. And as you would have noted, I am still here with you as your host. And as I promised, we're going to pick up right from where we left off on the prior program, Island Tea. Since I'm here with you also on Voices, we're going to continue the conversation along the same vein. And we were dealing with a clip that related to the Caribbean's top 10 most indebted nations to China. And we first heard that Grenada was at number 10, Antigua Barbuda at number 9, and we started on Cuba at number 8. So let's continue from right there with Cuba.
Is to know that Cuba owes over $500 million to China. Some estimates suggest that the total Chinese exposure could be even higher when deferred payments on historical loans are factored in. This amount accounts for approximately 15% of Cuba's foreign debt obligations. China has been instrumental in modernizing Cuban infrastructure. Some significant projects include renovating the port of Mariel, now an important foreign trade hub, and investing in renewable energy, such as wind farms and solar panel installations. These renewable energy projects are intended to help Cuba reduce its consumption of fossil fuels and minimize energy imports, which have long been a burden on the economy. Cuba's economic problems are severe. The Cuban economy declined by 10.9% in 2020, partly due to the pandemic and U.S. sanctions. This further strained the country's already thin financial resources. Cuba's GDP is estimated to be approximately $100 billion, though much of this is state-controlled and does not indicate free market performance. The country's overall foreign debt is around $3.3 billion, with Chinese loans accounting for a sizable portion, but only one piece of the broader debt puzzle. The repayment of these debts is uncertain, with continuing negotiations over restructuring terms and deferred payment schedules. Despite these obstacles, China continues to see Cuba as a strategic partner in the area, offering financing, technology, and experience to support Cuba's economic infrastructure. But Cuba isn't the only one deep into this debt. We have Dominican Republic at number 7. The Dominican Republic owes China over $600 million, nearly 5% of its GDP. With a GDP of over $12 billion, these loans represent a significant component of the country's overall economic structure. the Dominican Republic's relationship with China dramatically changed in 2018 when it switched diplomatic recognition from Taiwan to China. Since then, Beijing has invested billions in projects ranging from highways and bridges to cutting-edge renewable energy plants. One remarkable example is the vast network of solar farms, which account for 8% of the nation's energy mix. However, all that glitters is not gold. The nation's trade deficit with China has been growing at an alarming 14% yearly, highlighting the double-edged nature of these financial ties. While Chinese lending has sped up long-stalled infrastructure development and awakened economic growth, recorded at a rate of 4.7% per year before the pandemic, the growing reliance on Chinese imported goods is a potential vulnerability. Economists have warned that the expanding trade deficit and increased external borrowing could undermine the country's long-term economic stability. Reacting to this, the government seeks to promote domestic industries and increase exports to reduce the trade gap and improve its debt servicing capacity. By the way, if you're finding this video insightful, please like and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives like this. Thank you. Next up, at number 6, we have Trinidad and Tobago. At number 6, Trinidad and Tobago is a fascinating case of a nation balancing significant natural resource wealth with increasing external debt. The twin island nation owes China approximately $750 million, or roughly 12% of its external debt. Trinidad and Tobago, with a GDP of approximately $20 billion, has traditionally relied on its robust oil and gas sector, which accounts for nearly 40% of GDP, to finance development. Some of the major projects include the Couva Children's Hospital, a state-of-the-art hospital that has improved healthcare for thousands of people. Chinese investments have also sparked significant investments in the transport infrastructure in Port of Spain, boosting connectivity and economic activities. However, the volatility of the global oil market poses fundamental challenges. In 2020, oil prices collapsed by 35%, impacting government revenues. Although prices have recovered in subsequent years, the inherent volatility in the energy market means that reliance on oil and gas revenues to service debt can be risky. Current government projections suggest that oil and gas revenues can fluctuate by up to 20% yearly, affecting the nation's ability to service debt regularly. Trinidad and Tobago is diversifying its economy by investing in renewable energy and tourism. The government is also undertaking fiscal reforms to make infrastructure spending more efficient and ensure it is converted into sustainable economic growth. Coming in at number 5, we have Suriname. Thanks to Chinese financial help, Suriname has experienced rapid modernization. However, its debt to China is over $800 million, nearly 30% of its GDP. With a GDP of roughly $2.7 billion, this high level of debt has caused economists to be concerned. Suriname's Chinese-funded initiatives have primarily concentrated on new bridges, road expansion, and agricultural modernization. These aim to improve connectivity and increase export capacity in a country rich in natural resources such as bauxite and gold. However, with the debt-to-GDP ratio of 85%, the margin for error is exceedingly narrow. Volatile commodity prices and exogenous shocks have complicated Suriname's economic problems. Inflation has remained at around 8%, while economic growth has been volatile, averaging approximately 2% in recent years. Given these issues, the government is pressured to compromise required infrastructure investments and prudent fiscal management. Analysts say that investments can transform the economy and lead to long-term dependency if not appropriately managed. The government intends to restructure some of these loans and strengthen fiscal transparency to ensure that Chinese investments contribute to long-term economic outcomes rather than the perpetual debt dependence.
Okay, the time 10 minutes moving away from the 10 o'clock hour, and one of the things that struck me in that bit of a discussion as to the Caribbean's debt to China is, Cuba. Cuba is a neighbor, one of our neighbors, and we all know the struggles of Cuba over the years. We know that Cuba, because it is a communist country, there's sort of a stigma applied to Cuba, and we also know that the United States embargoes and sanctions and whatever has further crippled Cuba and put it in a very, very unfortunate state. So it is, to one extent, commendable that Cuba is being given assistance, but we are also well aware that nothing comes for free. So let's hope that Cuba can find a way to get the revenue, whether by stimulating its internal economy and finding some other way, and also other Caribbean islands, as it seems the trend is forming stronger bonds with Cuba and moving forward in unison, because Cuba is, like I said, one of our neighbors, and we should look out for neighbors, or as the good book says, be our brother's keepers, because Cuba has done so much for us in the region over the years, and I think that we should make it a reciprocal endeavor. So that was rather enlightening to hear. Also, our Caribbean leaders must manage their finances, our finances, and also find ways of getting other means of financial resource. As we hear recently a lot about diversification and so on and so forth, let's hope that we can find ways of broadening our financial ventures and be able to garner much more and move forward into the future, not so solely dependent on tourism and SIDF. Okay, so I'm going to take a bit of a commercial break. I'm again going to put forward to you that you can give me a call if you so wish. You can bring up any topic that you deem worthy of discussion, or you can continue in the vein of what has been discussed so far. As you would have noted, I've sort of followed over in the transition from one program into the next, since I am also still the host, sort of followed over with the topics that we were dealing with prior to Voices. So I'm going to give you the numbers that you can call and indulge. The internal numbers, the island numbers are 466-0989, 762-0989, and the external or overseas numbers are 305-921-4619 and 718-285-6984. Let me repeat them again for you. The internal or island numbers are 466-0989 and 762-0989, and the overseas numbers are 305-921-4619 and 718-285-6984. If you feel so, you do wish to, give me a call and we will have a bit of a rapport, a bit of a conversation on whatever topic you choose. As of now, I'm going to take a bit of a commercial break and be back. And when I get back, we'll pick up where we left off in terms of the Caribbean islands most indebted to China.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Rhymes the good food, people always there More than 42 million cars from 19 different car companies are being recalled for faulty airbag inflators. Repairs are fast, easy, and free. The problem isn't with the airbag, it's with the airbag inflator. Because the inflator can rupture, shooting shrapnel through the airbag, which can cause serious injury or even death. Don't risk it, fix it.
Please contact TDC Automotive Division to find out if your Toyota vehicle is affected by the Takata airbag recall. Visit or call us at 465-2511 in St. Kitts or 469-5430 in Nevis.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 300 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
The time approximately 18 minutes moving away from the 10 o'clock hour, and I'm your host on Voices for today to take you up until midday when we have the Win FM news and sports. Up until then, let's continue in the vein of Caribbean islands most indebted to China. But before I go back to that bit of a clip, I'm reminded that here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, our leaders have got to exercise prudence, financial prudence, because as we are well aware, and as Sylvine stated before, our foreign or external debt is creeping back up slowly, and we do not want to find ourselves back in the IMF's hand and having to impose bigger burdens on us by way of austerity measures. Okay? So I'm going to get back to that clip and we continue in terms of Caribbean islands most indebted to China.
Moving on to number 4. Guyana is a fascinating combination of both old issues and new opportunities. With a debt of nearly $900 million to China, which is approximately 15% of its GDP, Guyana has historically relied on Chinese financing for its significant infrastructure projects. Projects like the Georgetown-Leetham Road have opened trade relations with its neighbor Brazil and regional trade. However, the recent discovery of vast oil reserves has transformed Guyana's economic landscape. The nation will gain an estimated $5 billion annually from oil production, which could transform its fiscal landscape. As oil revenues stream, the nation's GDP will grow at a modest $6 billion. This newfound wealth presents a good chance to pay off its existing debt. Guyana's rapid economic transformation has raised questions about the effective management of oil proceeds and the potential for fiscal instability. The government is setting up the Sovereign Wealth Fund to smooth the economy and maintain debt repayment as a priority. Properly managed, Guyana can serve as a model for resource-rich nations to transition from debt dependency to fiscal stability. Guyana's inflation rate has been managed at 4%, and its yearly economic growth is set to hit 8% in the next half-decade. Pointers indicate a guardedly optimistic way forward. And now, we have our top 3 names on this list. Standing at number 3, Barbados, a nation famously rich in culture and a booming tourism industry. However, what you don't know is that Barbados holds roughly $1 billion in debt owed to China. While a significant figure, this debt is part of a financial strategy to modernize the country's infrastructure. Tourism generates about 50% of Barbados' GDP and has been a significant recipient of these investments. Some of the priority projects include development of luxury resorts and significant road developments that have improved connectivity across the island. In addition, the Chinese loans have been used to develop the nation's port facilities, enhancing its role as a regional trading hub. Barbados' external debt now stands at approximately $2.2 billion, with the Chinese portion being a significant slice. The nation's debt to GDP ratio is approximately 60%, a figure the government is working hard to keep in check through fiscal consolidation and increased tourism receipts. Barbados expanded 5.3% in tourism and 2.1% in overall GDP in 2023, suggesting that the nation's economic fundamentals remain strong despite the debt. Government officials have emphasized that the investments aim to yield long-term benefits, such as improved trade performance and public services. However, the challenge is to ensure that the debt does not interfere with the future economic flexibility and that repayment schedules are met without compromising social spending. Our runner-up at number 2 is the Bahamas, a nation that has captivated the world with its natural beauty and pursued a complex romance with Chinese financing. The Bahamas owes an estimated $1.9 billion in Chinese debt, roughly 22% of its GDP. With a GDP of around $8.6 billion, these loans are critical to the nation's fiscal obligations. Chinese investments in the Bahamas have targeted the upgrading of its infrastructure. Some of the significant projects include building luxury resorts, expanding the Nassau International Airport, and expanding the massive road network that has boosted tourism and local businesses. The Bahamas has also witnessed a 15% growth in port throughput in recent years, a direct benefit of better infrastructure thanks to Chinese loans. Tourism remains the backbone of the Bahamian economy, representing nearly 40% of the country's GDP. The recent resurgence in global tourism has seen a 6% annual growth in visitors, a source of revenue to help aid in debt servicing. However, the high percentage of GDP tied up in foreign debt remains a concern. The government is aggressively exploring strategies to diversify its revenues, including technology and renewable energy investments, to reduce the necessity of future borrowings and create a more resilient economy. And finally, on the top of the list, we have Jamaica. Chinese loans in this nation have played a significant role in modernizing and stabilizing the economy. Jamaica owes China approximately $2.1 billion, constituting 28% of its GDP. Jamaica's GDP is estimated at $7.5 billion, so this debt represents a significant portion of its external debt. Over the past decade, Chinese investments in Jamaica have targeted significant infrastructure projects like Highway 2000, revolutionizing transport and logistics across the island. Urban areas like Kingston have undergone widespread urban renewal schemes funded by Chinese investment. They have enhanced transport and public services and promoted economic development in significant sectors such as tourism and manufacturing. Tourism accounts for nearly 30% of Jamaica's GDP, and the country has been using a series of fiscal policy reforms to directly apply increased tourism revenues to debt repayment. Over recent years, Jamaica has reduced its overall public debt from over 100% of GDP to around 85%, a positive indication of gradual fiscal stabilization. However, the path ahead is packed with challenges, including global economic uncertainties and the potential for natural disasters. Projections indicate that Jamaica will significantly improve its debt servicing capacity if it can sustain a 3.5% annual GDP growth rate while ensuring prudent fiscal management. The government is also negotiating with international financial institutions to secure better terms for future loans so that Chinese financing remains a source for growth rather than dependence. From Grenada's stadiums to Jamaica's highways, Chinese investments have undeniably transformed the Caribbean, bringing opportunities and challenges. While the road ahead is filled with economic uncertainties, these nations have the resilience and potential to turn debt into sustainable growth. The Caribbean can chart a path forward, a brighter, more independent future by embracing diversification, fiscal responsibility, and innovation. What are your thoughts on balancing development and debt in the Caribbean? Do you think these investments will lead to long-term growth or create dependency? Let us know your comments below. We'd love to know your insights. Check out.
Okay, so Jamaica is at number 1, the Bahamas at number 2. And toward the latter part of that discussion, the question was asked, do you feel that Chinese debt, there will be a dependency in the future on Chinese debt, or will our Caribbean islands be able to diversify and garner help from other places and not be so dependent upon China? I see I have a caller. Good day. Hello, caller.
Good morning, quintessential one, and greetings in the name of Jesus Christ, the only Savior of sinners, from their sins and from hell, and the second person of the eternal Trinity.
Yes.
Trinity. Now, first of all, I would like to say that, like as I said the last time to you, you all need to turn up your volume and your YouTube channel because it's very low. That's the first thing. The second thing is that concerning the Caribbean and the debt issue where China and so is concerned. Now, like I said before, I consider Javier Milei, the president of Argentina, to be the best leader in the world right now, even way above Trump. You know, I consider Javier Milei to be, and I would also like to say that our Caribbean leaders, all of them, to me, is a bunch of hopeless leaders. And that's putting it nicely.
Yes.
Hopeless and inept at best, all of them. And if I was to put them alongside Javier Milei, the president of Argentina, there would be none but mere pipsqueaks, dwarfs, compared to Javier Milei.
Okay, let me
wait.
Let me
go ahead. I'm listening.
Let me indulge you, because I remember on a prior program you did bring up the leader of Argentina, and as we know, over the past years, you know, Argentina used to be going through all kind of fiscal problems and so forth. So
True.
since you are using him as a positive example, I want you to enlighten us as to some of the things that he has done that places him in that position in your mind. Why is it that you have termed him the best leader, in your opinion, in the world?
Right.
Name a few of the things that he has done to turn Argentina's economy around.
Right. Now, first of all, I would like to say, it ain't not because I speak of it mean that everything he has done and is doing I agree with. Because there are some things that he has done and is doing that I definitely do not agree with.
Okay.
And it seems as though his international policies, it seems as though they're very bad. They're very off.
Okay.
His international policy, but his domestic policies, even though, like I said, still I don't agree with everything he has done and is doing. I think he's doing and has done enough to propel Argentina forward from the mess that he inherited from the previous government before him.
Yes.
And the things that he has done, even though I believe he's doing them unintentionally and unknowingly,
yes,
he is applying certain biblical principles that are catapulting Argentina forward and helping to bring them out of the mess that they're in. So it really goes back to the Bible why I speak so to him. Even though what I think he's doing it unintentionally and unknowingly, that these are principles of the Bible that he's applying.
So
now, let me get into the specifics.
Yes,
now.
yes.
One, a lot of government departments he has inherited He has and is continuing to shut them down because they are a burden to the economy.
Yes.
And because of that, he has cut down a lot of the government expenses. Two, he has, where the rent sector is concerned, where the renting sector is concerned, he has done away with all rental controls. He's not telling you how much you can rent your house for.
Yes.
He has left that up to you. No. I would also like to speak of the results. The first results, when I said the department, he closed them down. Argentina was going through year after the government before, because remember, Millet took over year before last December.
Yeah.
He took over year before last December. Now, because of these lots of government spending due to the government departments and that sort of stuff, which Millet has closed. Before Millet had inherited the seat that he's now in, he inherited a country that was year after year going through increased deficits, budget deficits, increased national debt, being increasing and that sort of stuff. Since he took over, since the year before last December, for the first time, even in the first month of January, after he took over, even in the first month of January, Argentina saw a surplus, a fiscal surplus, budget surplus. In many, many years, Argentina saw that now under Millet. Whereas the government, who was ruling, just like our governments and Caribbean governments and many other governments over the world, in providing government social program, providing this, providing that, increasing government departments, that sort of stuff. Millet come in and, like I said, cut a lot of government departments, and for the first time in many, many years, in the first month after he took over, which was in January, the year before last, last year, Argentina saw a surplus, a budget surplus, that sort of stuff, rather than deficit.
Yes.
No. When Millet did away with the rent control, instead of a lot of people who were predicting that, hey, if you take away the rent control, people are going to carry up the rents and you're going to increase the homelessness. Millet said, no. You're going to increase competition. And so what was the result? The result was, after Millet took away the rent control, after he stopped telling people, hey, you cannot rent more than this or that, dollars. A lot of people now went into the renting business. A lot more people now went into the renting business because it increased a lot now under Millet.
Yeah.
And because it has so increased, people now have a lot of alternatives.
Options, yeah.
A lot more alternatives, and it has brought down the rent. And because of that, it has brought down the homelessness a whole lot, and it is still continuing to decrease.
Yeah.
Compared to what he inherited. That's a second benefit. And another benefit is that because Millet, like I said, has cut government spending and pinch with the rent control and that sort of stuff. Another benefit that has happened is that poverty right now is significantly less than when he went in, and it's continuing to decrease. No, there was a tricky issue with the poverty thing. When under Millet, poverty did went up, yes. But it only went up for a short time. Because Millet said, and like other people of the Austrian School of Economics and libertarians and that sort of stuff, they always say, hey, when you have to correct something, sometimes things might get worse before they get better.
Yeah.
Okay? They might get worse in the short term, some things, but in the long run, they're going to get better as the positive effects of what you are instituting starts to kick in. So yes, there was a time when under Miller, the poverty rate did rise up. But when Miller policies, the positive effects of Miller positive start to kick in, the positive effects of Miller policies, what has happened? The poverty rate, instead of continuing to go up, has now dropped and has dropped significantly than what he has inherited, and it's continuing to drop. And the projections are that they will continue to drop. Okay?
Yeah.
That is another third benefit of Miller poverty. Inflation, the cost of living is being decreased because of Miller policies as well. You know, deregulate, because Miller is also deregulating. Let me not use the word deregulating. Miller is also taking away a lot of government regulations that are on the economy.
Yes.
And he's letting the free market apply their own regulations to govern the public, the private sector. So because Miller has also taken off a good amount of government regulations from off the economy, which were burdening the economy, which he inherited, you know, because of that, he's taking them off. The inflation or the cost of living, like I said, has decreased significantly and is continuing to decrease. And projection is for it to even continue to decrease.
Now.
So in other words, the poor are living better and better and better.
Yes, I must say that what he has done is commendable, because I am well aware of the strife and struggles that Argentina has been going through. Now, you said that what he has done has caused positive effects in Argentina, and some of it he did not intentionally do. I will kind of agree, and still I will say, when a government implements certain things, even though you might not have specific intentions of this happening and that happening, you have an idea of some of the positives that can happen. So I think that he was well aware of some of the things that were likely to happen because of what he was doing.
No, sorry, let me not cut you off. I think he probably misunderstood me with something. He intentionally did all that he did, and he knew the positive effect that were going to result from all that he did.
Okay.
What he did not intentionally know is that what he was doing was in line with Bible principles.
Oh, okay.
That is what he did not intentionally know.
Okay, got you clear.
Yes,
on
but
that.
you continue. I'm listening.
Well, I had something in my mind, but it has sort of slipped me. I don't remember where my thought process. Oh, yes. You made a point in terms of taking off a lot of the government restrictions on the internal economy. That is a big thing, because if you take for instance, let's use the Caribbean as an example and travel. Let's use airline travel as an example. We always hear about travel in the region being very, very costly. And when we hear that, we also hear that one of the factors that have been contributing to airline travel in the region being so costly is because of government taxes. Okay?
Yeah.
If the governments would, I can't understand for the life of me. Governments have been hearing over and over for years and years that it is your taxes that you have imposed on these, in this instance, that is making travel so high. Why are they not taking off some of those taxes? Because if they do so, I mean, we need to travel within the region our islands are not too far from each other, and yet still it is so expensive to travel, island hop. So that is a point that you made that I agree with. A lot of the restrictions imposed, a lot of the implementations by the Caribbean government offer and pose, curtail the advancement within the Caribbean economies.
Yes, well, you see, the thing is, okay? The thing is, you see, the thing is that if you do not cut your expenses as a government, as Miller has done, he has cut government expenses in conjunction with a lot of government departments and that sort of stuff. And it's continuing to do so. That's why I say our Caribbean leaders are hopeless and they're pipsqueak dwarfs compared to Miller, if you put them alongside Miller. We, instead, are going in the opposite direction where we are increasing government expenses.
Yes.
So because we are increasing, and that is why the IMF, one thing in the IMF report, because I have now read the IMF report.
Yes.
And that's one thing they say, the national debt, which really represent the loans and so on that we owe people.
Yeah.
It's increasing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because we are going in the opposite direction to, for example, for what Miller is going in. Because government is increasing the national debts and that sort of stuff, expenses and that sort of stuff, and foolishly so. With all due respect, what they have to do now in order to get back the money to pay back for their national debts and expenses, they really have to, in the end, increase taxes. But the problem with that is that the more you increase taxes, is the more you kill out your economy.
Yes.
Miller said, no, I'm not going to. Miller said, yes, I inherited this nonsense, but I'm going to get out of it by going in the opposite direction, which is the biblical direction. Like I said, he did know that what he was doing is biblical, but he knew what he was doing was going to have positive effects. And he said, I'm going in the correct direction, which is to lessen the government debt, lessen government expenses, that sort of stuff. And because of that, I would be able now to decrease taxes because my government expense will be less.
One of the things.
That's the only how you could decrease your taxes properly.
One of the things that I hear over and over that is contributing to governments advancing expenditure is government's tendency to rent places for government spaces and government work. That is one of the factors that is causing the government to spend a lot of money as opposed to using the government, maintaining, that is, the government's infrastructure and buildings, and thus cutting on the expenditure. But I don't know, because that, it seems, open up the room for that word corruption, where
yes.
So I
well, obviously it would be cheaper if the government were to use their own buildings rather than to be renting other people's buildings. Obviously, government has put themselves in more expense, even where that is concerned. But government is really and truly, our government, I believe, is really broke, because a lot of simple stuff, it doesn't even have the money to do on a maintaining regular basis. For example, there are government buildings that put it nicely, have problems with malls, and government ain't got the money to really deal with it on a regular basis. Yeah, they might do something maybe once in a while.
Well,
on a regular basis that these things need to be dealt with. They ain't got the money for that.
Let me ask you this. I hear what you say in terms of they don't have the money to do maintenance, but I don't understand. So you don't have the money to do regular maintenance, but you have the money to pay exorbitant rent? Does this make sense? I don't understand it.
Like I tell you, our governments in the Caribbean, they are hopeless and inept, and that is putting it nicely. You know, because there are things that they do really and truly makes me wonder what the hell is going on. Who they have as their advisors? For example, you hear, for example, again, we're supposed to be building this big
Hospital?
Smart hospital.
Yes.
Okay? Number one, who is paying for that? Is it Taiwan? Or are they just building it, but we have to pay them back the money? But even if it was just a grant we get, and I don't know about that, if it is that's the case, but even if that was the case, that we don't have to pay for it, yet we still have to pay to maintain it.
Yes.
And maintaining something over the years is far more money you have to dish out than to build it.
Yes. Over long term.
No, based upon this kind of hospital that they said they want to build, they're going to have to be dishing out a ton load of money over the years.
Yes, because
if you're going to properly maintain it.
Yes, because the emphasis is on the word smart. If you want to keep it smart, you're going to have to keep pumping in a lot of money to maintain
You're going to have to.
Yes.
But we ain't even got the money to properly maintain on a regular basis our present one. So you see, government, to me, is doing a lot of stuff to make people feel good. And the people also wrongly demanding more and more and more of the government. And the government ain't telling the people, them, hey, the more you demand of me, is the more I'm going to have to tax you in the end, no?
Yes.
The government ain't telling the people the truth.
But
they're using the people.
But you don't think that the people also should be enlightened enough to know when their demands are unreasonable?
Let me say this. In order for the people to really come to that understanding, they're also going to have to honestly look at all sides of the debate.
Yes.
And in honestly looking at all sides of the debate, they're going to have to honestly reach the conclusion that is right. In other words, let me put it this way. You're going to have to reject your emotions, what you feel is right from what you feel is wrong. You're going to have to reject all of those and really objectively look at the arguments and the different sides of the debate and tell yourself, I want the truth no matter which direction the truth leads me in. And if the truth leads me in that government had to become smaller and had to make less demands, wherever the truth leads me, I'm going to go with that rather than just go on your feelings.
Yes,
and,
emotions.
and rather than just going on your feelings, and I want government to take care of me like me's a government baby.
I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. That is. But you
might not agree with me with this when I say, hey, the Bible is the right direction to go.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you. You know, I'm not going to. We're open to having a conversation, and we are mature individuals, and so we will have that conversation, okay? But I was going to say that is one of the reasons why I'm playing some of the clips that I play, because as you said, we must be able to look at the different aspects, look at things from different angles.
Yes.
We must understand, for instance, I played Indebted Nations. I'm going to take a break after you, and then when I get back, I'm going to get into a clip that deals with the salaries of our leaders. You know, these are things that we need to know. These are things that we need to know. If we know the different aspects and angles of how our economy works, how the machinery turns, then we are in a better position, as you stated, to stop using our emotions and use our rational thinking process.
By becoming informed of the different aspects of the different schools of thought, we also need to become more of a reading people as well.
Yes.
And that people do research. we need to learn that there are more than one school of economics. You have the Austrian school, you have those of communism, you have those of Adam Smith, you have those of Keynes, and so we need to become more, look at the different aspects. We need to read a lot more, do a lot more research, take our emotions out of the equation, and just look at things logically and objectively, and as a Christian, I would say biblically above all else.
And I'm glad you made that statement, because if we do that, for instance, you're a Christian, but you don't have a problem with looking at the communist way of doing things and researching that and so on and so forth. But there are individuals whom I feel, well, okay, I'm a Christian and I'm just going to stay in this circle that is Christian based, and I'm not going to find out. You can't live like that, So I'm glad you made that statement.
Let me give you a quick example before I go. Enough time, I would argue with people, okay? And I would say to people, I give them my point.
Yes.
I gave them my point based upon my research. And you know what they would say with me? Oh man, you crazy, you this, you that. I say, okay, no problem, but prove me wrong. Refute what I say. Me not refute what you say. Me not deal with that. Me not want to hear you and them sort of stuff.
Yes.
You know?
But do you know?
Cussing you out rather than refuting what you say.
Yes, but I agree.
We can't go forward with that kind of thinking.
I agree, but having said that, that is the attitude of a lot of Christians today, They don't want...
A ton load of them.
Yes, the attitude is, I'm going to just follow this trend. I don't want to hear there. I don't want to hear. I'm going to go down the middle blindly and, so, yeah. So that is one of the reasons why I like to speak to you, because my impression of you is that you're trying to be as honest in your belief as you possibly can, and I respect that.
By the grace of God, yes. By the grace of God. Because it's a lot of things I used to believe in the past that I no longer believe as I continue to do more and more research.
Yes,
And when I try to show people, instead of people say, okay, by Greg. Because when people would show me the point, I would say, even though I would argue, I would still say, boy,
let me look into
and I couldn't answer it, I couldn't refute it.
Yes.
Let me go and research it. And then when I do research, I see the person was correct.
Okay. Yeah. I realize...
A lot of people ain't doing that.
In speaking with you, I realize that you are that kind of a person. I think that a lot of individuals misjudge you and have judged you wrongly.
Well,
okay.
That is true.
Okay, so I'm going to take a bit of a break. Thank you for your time. Thank you for indulging me. I'm going to take a bit of a commercial break. The time is 10:54. You're listening to Voices, which goes up until midday. At midday, it's the Win FM News and Sports and so on and so forth. I'm going to take a bit of a commercial break, and when I get back, we're going to get into a clip that deals with something I'm sure you have been asking yourself over and over. How much does my leader get for his salary, and not only the leader here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, but across the Caribbean islands. So I'm going to take a break, and when we get back, we're going to get into a clip that deals with the 10 highest paid Caribbean leaders, okay?
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 300 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Buster! We run things are run we. Buster! Living color, do it differently. Buster! Large and in charge, like for the party. Buster! We set the pace, then everybody follow it.
7 flavors, best taste. Buster, bolder, better, better. Pick your color.
We set the pace, then everybody follow it.
Buster, live in full color.
Let TDC Financial Services help you go for your goals. Whether you're thinking of taking that grand vacation, down payment on a house, higher education, TDC Financial Services has various plans that will allow you to go for your goals. Choose from the Accumulator Plus, Investment Starter Plan, and Fixed Deposit. Ready to go for your goals? Visit us at TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
And I'm back with you. The time 10:57. You're listening to Voices here on Win FM 98.9. I'm your host. My name, Patrick Creeley, but most of you know me as the quintessential one. I'm going to continue in the vein that I have so far in relation to things Caribbean, things that are happening in the Caribbean. And one of the things I noted and I commend is that most of the things that I see that relate to our proximity within this region, they are titled Caribbean. And I really appreciate that as opposed to called West Indian. I think that we as a people need to get away more and more away from using the term or phrase West Indian, because as far as I'm concerned, it is a misnomer. And I feel that as long as we continue to refer to ourselves as a West Indian people, a West Indian region, a West Indian cricket team, and so on and so forth, as opposed to a Caribbean people and a Caribbean cricket team, a Caribbean netball team, so on and so forth, then we are keeping ourselves within the restraints of colonialist miseducation. You understand? We are showing by our through our verbal expression that we are still clinging to colonialist lies, because there is now such a thing as the West Indies. We have a Caribbean region. One of the reasons why they did not and do not like to refer to it as the Caribbean region is because it will bring back memories of the indigenous people who were here before the Caribs. So they come up with this name misdemeanor and say the West Indies, and we know that is a farce, because we know that Columbus was not heading to the West Indies. He was trying to go to India, and he happened to wind up here, and they called it the West Indies. So let us, whenever we refer to things within our proximity, we say the Caribbean region, Caribbean leaders, Caribbean sports teams, and so on and so forth. Having said all of that, let me get back to our continued discussions as to things Caribbean, Caribbean debt, Caribbean growth, Caribbean fiscal management, Caribbean everything and anything Caribbean. And right now we're going to listen to or be enlightened as to the highest paid Caribbean leaders.
Ever wondered how much a Caribbean leader earns? Think it's more than your yearly salary? You might be surprised. Welcome to our exclusive dive into the fascinating world of Caribbean leaders' salaries. We're counting down the top 10 highest paid political figures in the Caribbean, revealing not just the numbers, but the stories behind these leaders. From modest earnings to jaw-dropping paychecks, get ready for a journey that will leave you questioning, are they worth it, or is it too little? Stay tuned, because what we're about to reveal will definitely surprise you. In global politics, where decisions shape nations, leaders wield immense power and responsibility. They grapple with monumental challenges, steer the course of their countries, and often find themselves amid profound historical moments. The scrutiny, the demands, and the expectations that come with such roles are unparalleled, However, beyond the weight of their responsibilities lies an intriguing aspect of world leadership: their salaries. The compensation of world leaders is a subject that raises questions, sparks debates, and offers a unique insight into the priorities and values of nations across the globe. Today, we embark on a journey to explore the intriguing world of Caribbean leaders' salaries and report the 10 highest paid Caribbean leaders. Kicking off our list at the number 10 slot, we have the newest elected leader on our list, Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Terence Drew. A medical doctor turned politician, he is the 4th Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, having been elected in August 2022. Not a seasoned politician, Prime Minister Drew rose to be elected leader of the St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party in 2021, where he quickly won the election the following year. His salary is fairly modest, especially considering the other leaders we can expect to see later on this list. Coming in at $150,000 Eastern Caribbean dollars, this is equivalent to just $55,500 a year. With an average salary in St. Kitts and Nevis of $19,730, the Prime Minister earns almost 3 times the salary of the average person, a useful metric we will use as we continue down our list. Next up on our list, we have the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Mr. Gaston Brown. Prime Minister Brown has held the position of Prime Minister since 2014 and has become one of the stalwart figures of Caribbean leadership. With an academic background in banking and finance, Brown ventured into politics through the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, ABLP. He quickly rose through the party ranks and was elected as the Member of Parliament for St. John's City West in 2004. Brown's tenure as Prime Minister has been marked by a commitment to economic growth, social development, and international cooperation. And for this, he has been greatly rewarded. His current salary stands at $150,000 EC dollars, which is equivalent to $55,500. This is almost twice the average salary in the country. Continuing, we have yet another Eastern Caribbean country by the name of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, whose Prime Minister is none other than Ralph Gonsalves. Prime Minister Gonsalves is one of the serving Prime Ministers in the Caribbean, having been the country's leader since 2001, 22 years. He is the longest continuously serving head of government since St. Vincent and the Grenadines became independent in 1979. Gonsalves' journey in politics began early, and he was involved in various political and legal roles before becoming Prime Minister. Gonsalves has been a Member of Parliament, MP, for the constituency of North Central Windward since 1994. In 1994, upon the formation of the Unity Labour Party, he became Deputy Leader and eventually Leader in 1998. With Gonsalves as leader, the ULP dominated elections consistently, leading him to serve as party leader and Prime Minister. He holds a doctorate in government from the University of the West Indies, and his academic background has been instrumental in shaping his political career. When it comes to salary, he is not too dissimilar to that of our number 10 slot, with a total annual salary of $150,454 EC dollars or $55,724. That is more than 3 times the average salary in the country at $40,900 EC dollars. Moving on, we come to one of the most notable leaders of the region, leading one of the most recognized countries from the Caribbean, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness. Hailing from Kingston, Andrew Holness has been the leader of Jamaica since 2016. Holness previously served as Prime Minister from October 2011 to January 2012 and was the youngest person ever to be Prime Minister in Jamaica's history at the age of 39. He was elected as the Member of Parliament for West Central St. Andrew in 1997 and quickly rose in prominence as he became involved in various roles within the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP. Soon he was the leader and led them to victory on multiple occasions. When it comes to his salary, Prime Minister Holness has received positive criticism this year, as he announced that he will not be taking his massive pay hike under the new compensation structure for the political directorate in 2023. His compensation therefore will remain at its previous level, which is 9.1 million Jamaican dollars, instead of rising to 28.6 million Jamaican dollars, which seems like a lot, but is only approximately $58,550, or about 4 times the average salary. We swing down to the south of the Caribbean now, to the southern economic giant that is Trinidad and Tobago. Prime Minister Keith Rowley of Trinidad and Tobago is also a long-serving leader in the region, having held the post since 2015. With a background in geology and engineering, Rowley's political journey began when he was elected as the Member of Parliament for Diego Martin West. Rising through the ranks of the People's National Movement, PNM, he eventually became the party's leader. As Prime Minister, Rowley has focused on economic development and energy sector reforms, given the sector's crucial role in the nation's economy. His salary is also the first major jump when it comes to the salary list of various leaders, coming in at $576,000 Trinidad dollars annually. This is equivalent to approximately $85,655 US. With the average salary of $106,150 Trinidad dollars, this is more than 5 times the average salary. If you're enjoying this enlightening journey into the world of politics and finance, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating insights and stories from around the Caribbean and the globe. Your support helps us bring you more content that you love. So, if you're not already part of our community, click that subscribe button and join us as we continue to explore, learn, and share. And remember, hit the bell icon to get notified every time we post a new video. Stay curious, stay informed. Next up on our list, we have a more recent addition to the Caribbean Leaders Table. Elected in 2021 amidst the pandemic, the Prime Minister of the Bahamas comes in at our number 6 spot. Prime Minister Philip Davis was a long-time politician, initially being elected as MP for Cat Island, Rum Cay, and San Salvador in 1992. He rose through the political ranks, serving as Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Public Works and Urban Development, Leader of the Opposition, all the way to Prime Minister. A long and hard-fought path to the premiership, Prime Minister Davis is fairly well compensated for his commitments. With a salary of $86,000 Bahamian dollars, this is equivalent to $86,000 US. This is just under twice the national average salary of $46,800 US. So compared to our previous leader who is paid almost the same, it can be said that Prime Minister Davis is more fairly paid. Now we break into the top half of our list, and this is where our salaries go up a notch again. Can you guess who is our number 5 spot? It is Guyana. Under the leadership of the young and energetic President Mohamed Irfan Ali, who was also elected in 2021 amidst the pandemic. Ali was an MP and cabinet minister until 2015, before leading the People's Progressive Party to electoral victories in 2020. He is the first Muslim to hold the office of president in Guyana's history, and only the second Muslim head of state in the Americas, after Noor Hassan Ali of Trinidad and Tobago. When it comes to the president's salary, however, he has received some criticism. Back in 2021, President Ali raised his salary from $150,000 to $20 million Guyanese dollars, which equates to $98,300 US. With an average salary of $4,200,000 Guyanese dollars, this roughly equates to a salary 5 times that of the average person, or $20,000 US. As we break into the top 3 most paid Caribbean leaders, we cross another milestone, and that is leaders who earn more than $100,000 US annually. So who is our number 3 slot? Well, it is one of Times Magazine's 2022 most 100 influential persons in the world, Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Amour Motley. Prime Minister Motley is an attorney by profession, but has been a long-time politician in the country, having first been elected in 1994 and serving her constituency since. Elected as the leader of the Barbados Labour Party in 2008, Motley eventually won the premiership in 2018 with a landslide victory. She became the first woman in Barbados to hold the position and also became the first prime minister under its Republican system following constitutional independence in 2021. But with such a rich and deep story, what is the secret behind her finances? Well, The Prime Minister's salary is set at 213,334 Barbados dollars, which is 105,950 US dollars. With the average Bajan salary at 62,800 Barbados dollars, this equates to the Prime Minister earning almost 3.5 times the salary of the average person. At number 2, we have another high earner and a country that some may find surprising, and that is the President of the Dominican Republic, Luis Abinader. President Luis Abinader became President of the Dominican Republic in August 2020. Before becoming president, Abinader was the general manager of Grupo Abicor, his family's business consortium, which was started by his father, a former senator and finance minister. The conglomerate includes a real estate and construction company focused mainly on the tourism industry, a cement factory, and a private university. In a public declaration of assets released, he had a net worth of over 76 million US dollars, making him quite possibly the richest Caribbean leader. But does he earn the same amount he did before becoming president? Most definitely not. But with a salary of 120,000 US dollars, President Abinader is still a significant earner. The average salary in the Dominican Republic is just 4,242 US dollars annually. This means the Dominican Republic has the largest difference between its leaders and the average citizen, with the president of the country making more than 26 times the average person. And finally, at our top spot, we have another country that is no one's first guess when it comes to high-salaried leaders. Do you know? Well, if you guessed Suriname at our number 1 spot, well done. The president of Suriname, Chan Santoki, comes in as our highest salaried political leader. A former police officer turned politician, President Santoki's rise to the presidency came after a turbulent time in Suriname, with the arrest of its former president and dictatorial leader, Deji Bouterse. As the lead investigator against Bouterse, Santoki gained support, winning the 2020 elections and standing as the sole nominee for president of Suriname. He was subsequently elected president by acclamation in an uncontested election later in 2020. What about his salary? As the highest paid leader, President Santoki earns 4,646,552 Surinamese dollars annually, which equates to 133,560 US dollars. And the average salary in Suriname? Just 7,051 US dollars. This means the president of Suriname makes a staggering 18 times the average citizen in Suriname, second only to the Dominican Republic president. The salaries of these political leaders represent a dynamic interplay of various factors, reflecting the values, priorities, and economic conditions of their respective nations. The remuneration of world leaders can vary significantly, from modest figures to substantial sums. These salaries often serve as a reflection of societal expectations, political stability, and the cost of living in their countries. Ultimately, while these figures are interesting to consider and compare, they also offer an insight as to what each Caribbean country deems fair for those who lead them. For a job as complicated as leading a country, the way we see the position as a duty or a profession can alter the way we think leaders should be compensated. So, as we wrap up our journey through the salaries of Caribbean leaders, it's important to reflect on the broader implications of these figures. These salaries are more than just numbers. They symbolize the trust, responsibility, and expectations placed upon these leaders by their citizens. They remind us that leadership is not just about power or prestige, but about service, sacrifice, and the commitment to better the lives of others. In the end, it's not the salary that defines a leader's legacy, but the impact they have on their nation and its people.
And quite a profound statement. It is not just the salary of these leaders, but the impact. So, how do you feel about your leaders or our leaders' salary in relation to the impact upon us as a people? Do we feel that we are getting our money's worth as the Calypso song the Carnival song says? Do we feel that the salary of our leader or leaders is in line with what we get as the citizens in terms of our economic advancement, the fiscal prudence of our leaders, and so on and so forth. Those are questions that we can ponder as we assess and analyze the various aspects of our Caribbean leadership. I'm going to take a bit of a commercial break, and when I get back, I'm going to play for you a clip that asks a question, because earlier we dealt with the indebtedness of some of our Caribbean islands, and we noted that a lot of this indebtedness is to China. So I'm going to take a bit of a commercial break, and when we get back, I'm going to play a clip that asks the question, what does these investments or these loans and so forth by China to the Caribbean, what does it mean for the Caribbean and for the future of the Caribbean in relation to the Caribbean and China? Who will benefit from these loans and other forms of investments? Going to take a bit of a break, and I'll be back with you.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Heritage matters to me. Heritage matters to you. Join me, Percival Hanley, this coming Friday and every other Friday at 10 a.m. to 12 noon for Heritage Matters on Win Media SKN 98.9. Heritage matters to me. Heritage matters to you.
What do you think of the China?
Portsmouth's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less and save more. How, you ask? Essential Everyday and Equiline. Spend less on our Essential Everyday products and get the best quality, the best taste, and the best value. Spend less for all your family health and beauty needs with the Equiline brand of over-the-counter products. Portsmouth Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less. With our Essential Everyday products and Equiline over-the-counter health and beauty care products. Shop smart and spend less at Value Mart, where price matters most.
And I'm back with you. The time 19 minutes moving away from the 11 o'clock hour. And you're listening to Voices right here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm your host and will be for the duration up until 12 o'clock when we break for the WinFM news and sports. I've been trying to give you synopsis, bits and pieces as it relates to the Caribbean region, how our Caribbean region functions in various aspects, and hope that we can garner from such information where we are and what the projections for our future are likely to be upon our own analysis. So let me now delve into a clip that asks the question, what does the high China investments in the Caribbean mean to us and for us as a Caribbean people?
What do you think of the China-Caribbean relationship and the huge investments China is making in the Caribbean, which will lead to huge China influence in the region? As the world's second largest economy by nominal GDP, totaling around $18.32 trillion the past year, and the world's largest economy since 2016 when measured by PPP, purchasing power parity, China is a country that witnessed very rapid economic growth in the past decades. The two main factors explaining such are its rapid productivity growth and large-scale economic investment, financed by substantial domestic savings and foreign investments too. In 2022, China accounted for 18.6% of the global economy in terms of PPP. According to IMF, the International Monetary Fund,
China is already the world's largest economy, over 20% larger than the United States economy, which used to be considered the top one globally. Nowadays, China has foreign investments basically in every continent. Its economic superpower is unparalleled and constantly growing. In the past years, especially in the 2005 to 2022 period, China has invested billions of US dollars in the Caribbean. This happened while signaling tax and trade deals in several Caribbean countries. Is this to seize the region out of the West's sphere of influence and bring it under the sway of Beijing? China's investments in the Caribbean in the most recent years focused on tourism, transportation, extractive metals, agriculture, infrastructure, the development of trade relationships, telecommunication, and energy sectors. China is a member of the Inter-American Development Bank (IDB) and the Caribbean Development Bank (CDB). Its engagement in the Caribbean countries includes a strong slice of the Belt and Road Initiative (BRI), formerly known as One Belt One Road or OBOR for short, which is a global infrastructure development strategy adopted by the Chinese government in 2013 to invest in more than 150 countries and international organizations. As of 2022, 10 Caribbean countries have signed up for Belt and Road (BRI): Cuba, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Barbados, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, and Suriname, while St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Kitts and Nevis, Haiti, and Belize remain the only Caribbean nations that recognize Taiwan. The Popular Republic of China is working towards diminishing the region's ties with this country. The economic investments of China in the Caribbean mainly focus on 6 major countries, which have received huge investments in the past 2 decades. Bahamas with $350 million, Cuba with $750 million, Antigua and Barbuda with $1 billion, Trinidad and Tobago with $2.28 billion, Guyana with $3.01 billion, and Jamaica with $3.16 billion. Clearly, over $10 billion were invested in this region between 2005 and 2022, with a major focus on tourism, transportation, extractive metals, energy, and agriculture. By the way, if you're getting value from this video, we would greatly appreciate it if you would give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for our future videos. Thank you. To give a few examples, China's investment in infrastructures includes Hutchinson Port Holdings in the Bahamas, China Merchant Port Holdings ownership of the Port of Kingston, Jamaica, the current construction of a port in La Brea to facilitate gas exports from Trinidad and Tobago, the construction of a bridge over the Demerara River in Guyana, and several highway projects, as well as the construction of an industrial park in Jamaica. As far as the energy sector goes, a subsidiary of Chinese national oil company CNPC, Great Wall Drilling, began drilling oil off the coast of Cuba in 2019. In 2017, Jamaica's Alpart Alumina Refinery was purchased by Zhuquan Iron and Steel Company, and in 2011, China acquired a 10% interest in Trinidad and Tobago-based Atlantic LNG, one of the world's largest natural gas producers. At the same time, the government of China published 2 papers, one in 2008 and the second in 2016, named China's Policy Paper on Latin America and the Caribbean, outlining the country's policy for the region and highlighting the common goal of strengthening cooperation through equality and mutual benefits in several key areas. The China Caribbean Press Center was established in 2018, and the country has dedicated a significant level of attention to Caribbean security engagement, actively carrying out military exchanges and cooperation with countries in Latin America and the Caribbean. Military and police equipment are frequently donated by China, especially to Cuba, Trinidad and Tobago, and Guyana. The Confucius Institute, a non-profit organization aiming to promote the Chinese language and culture, support Chinese teaching internationally, and facilitate cultural exchanges, established schools in Cuba, Jamaica, Guyana, the Bahamas, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua and Barbuda, Grenada, and Barbados. What is the explanation for all of these investments, keen interest, and donations to our Caribbean region? Trade has become an increasingly important part of China's economy, and it has been seen as a significant tool for economic modernization. According to World Bank data for 2020 and 2021, China's trade surplus for both goods and services is constantly growing, as well as the country's overall trade balance. Locally, China gains uncountable benefits from these investments. An interesting example is the North-South Highway in Jamaica. Started in 1999 by a French contractor who had to be interrupted due to financial difficulties. The project was taken over by Chinese contractors in 2009. Peculiar agreements were made between the Chinese and the Jamaican governments, and the project was assigned to CHEC, China Harbour Engineering Company Limited, while China Development Bank loaned $700 million for its completion. To repay the loan, Jamaica transferred 500 hectares of land adjacent to the highway. This includes coastal areas on which CHEC has agreed to build hotels, which will boost Jamaica's economy and create revenue for China. Jamaica's total debt to China is this way extremely low, and the local labor force has been employed in Chinese projects throughout the Caribbean. It's basically seen as a win-win. What are the reactions of the Caribbean people toward these Chinese investments? The reactions are mixed. A good part of the population understands the need for the money and resources, which would not be readily available if we hadn't obtained the help of such economically powerful country. The majority of business-minded people in the Caribbean, including business owners, investors, and the government, clearly see that the bigger picture is bright and that all these investments will serve our countries for the future, and not just in the immediate present. Once loans are repaid and debts are cleared, countries such as Jamaica, the Bahamas, and Guyana are left with enormous projects that boost our economy, provide job opportunities to our people, and generate income. On the other hand, a negative attitude towards China and its people is not so uncommon amongst Caribbean people. Some people are suspicious because of China's concerning environmental record and involvement in the COVID-19 pandemic. Others are worried that while it's good to build and invest in our countries, China brings a lot of workers from their country and does not provide high-quality jobs to locals. Circling back to the example of Jamaica's North-South Highway, there have been records of several hostilities towards this project from the Jamaican people. It boosts the economy, provides a faster and safer way of moving around, and makes it possible to trade and commute in a reliable and more convenient way. It also blocked out towns and communities which used to thrive around the areas now occupied by the highway, which are slowly dying because they are now impossible to reach. The port they planned to build around the coastal area was in a protected area, and which took a lot of pushback for the government to agree that it should not break the law and impact the environment. Barbados, which recently renounced the Queen and took some financing from China, was immediately accused of being a communist country, generating a bit of drama in the region. Generally speaking, countries such as Jamaica have a bit of a negative attitude towards Asian populations, and this became very clear in the last decades, with the number of Chinese people growing exponentially in the country as a direct or indirect result of all these investments from the Chinese government. It is not a feeling just confined to the Caribbean, however. China operates an authoritarian government with values that are quite far from liberal democracies. Concerns around their funding and investments are quite natural and shared on a global scale. China has been accused of setting debt and data traps across the world by the head of MI6, Richard Moore. But the evidence is very poor and quite foggy. The anti-China rhetoric that has been propagating from the West in the past years loses terrain when we see that not all projects coming from China are so bad or negatively affect our Caribbean countries. On the other hand, it is believed that it is not too late for the United States of America to arrest the deepening China-Caribbean engagement that is so feared on a local and global scale alike, and that could result in policies admittedly going against the Western world's strategies and interests. The USA have devoted very little time and money to the Caribbean region, and therefore a radical change will become necessary if they want to step into the game. Check out this video on top 10 most developed Caribbean countries and territories. Please, let us know what you think of the China-Caribbean relationship and the huge investments China is making in the Caribbean region.
Yes, what do you think of the investment, the huge investment by China in the region, especially when you look at that point made where when big constructions are taking place and China imports the workers as opposed to employing the natives. And also in Jamaica where hectares of the land, coastland, is bought up with the potential of advancement and revenue for China, as opposed to us hearing that this will be advancement and revenue for Jamaica. There are questions that we must answer, that we must ask, analyze, and see if we can come up with answers that make us feel comfortable in our advancement into the future. We are well aware that nothing comes without a price. Are our leaders moving a bit too fast, showing their hands and allowing China and Chinese investment too fast a grip in our region? Those are questions that we will have to ask. Noted is that St. Kitts and Nevis remains among one of the few who has kept ties with Taiwan. Most of the other Caribbean islands have gone and leaned towards China. So we as a people have got a whole lot of introspection to do as to how this plays out for us. Hello, good day.
Good day, I'm back.
Yes.
Now,
go ahead.
what Trump is trying to do, but he's too late.
Yes.
Putting on all the sanctions, they have spent millions and billions in the Middle East, ignoring us because they feel that we have to, you know?
Yes. We have no other options, yeah.
No other option.
Yes.
Because I know, say, no, you know, American companies, China was given better terms on the loans.
Yes.
Simply like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That the countries hope that they'll be able to maintain.
Yeah.
But rather than trying to compete in terms of investment, they're using tariffs.
Yes.
The citizens of the Caribbean, even Africa, they see the development in other countries and are asking why. Why not us?
Yes.
And even they protest. They have bled Africa, the Caribbean, or well, we're in the backyard.
Yeah.
So while they ignore in the backyard, China moved in.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
even though we don't have any relations, we have enough Chinese citizens, eh?
Yes.
Taking over the commercial sector. They make a good market for our passports. So they don't even have to worry.
Yeah.
They have enough on the ground here without involving their government in terms of loans.
Yes.
You know, so when I listen to Trump, they want to maintain the position as number one. So they're trying to destroy everybody. Too late.
Yeah.
I think it is too late, you know, because everybody wants a country to develop.
Yes, most definitely.
So this idea that, well, we in the backyard, you know?
Yeah.
So we're supposed to look to them for with water and oxygen.
I like that point because America has felt that there was a time long ago when America and Canada and so forth used to, and then all of a sudden over the years they decided, well, they don't have any other option We are dependent, they are dependent on us, and they paid us no heed. And now China, they see that China is making inroads. They want to find a way back in. But like
yeah, China is not making any small investments, you know.
That's it. Yeah.
I mean, Jamaica, you know, and they make sure that they're covering the investment.
And when you look at the infrastructures being placed down, if our governments are prudent and they can pay these debts down, they have themselves to benefit, ourselves as a people to benefit from these infrastructures.
Yeah.
Roads, bridges, I mean, big investments.
I mean, even in Barbados, when they did the road you're talking about, Chinese workers did it. And they said, look, it's cheaper. It is cheaper. There's no way we could get the same thing done with our workers. Even this project, with the housing,
yes,
Chinese workers have to come in.
Okay, so
they said that supervisors, but all across, even in and with a lot of the countries, because you know some of them they got for an opportunity to come out to China. They sign contracts for this or nothing. You could even see the evidence in the supermarkets we have, the Chinese supermarkets.
Yes.
Some of them work nearly 12 hours.
Yeah. So
all the morning they're there.
Let me ask you this then. You made the point that when they use the Chinese workers, it is cheaper than if we use our workers. Okay. Having said that, should we look at it like this then? That okay, short term, we get these infrastructures. You use your workers. It is cheaper, but long term, we pay down these debts. We own this, and it benefits us overall. Is that the way we should look at it?
That sounds good, but it doesn't work so.
Well,
because our people are accustomed, our workers are accustomed to negotiate or have their wages protected.
And have money in their pockets.
You understand?
So, I don't know.
Our workers not going to look. I think they were mad. I think they built the Ramada.
Yes.
I'm not too sure about what is happening with the prison.
Because
that's what they do.
Because if we look at it from the perspective I just outlined, it's going to take our leaders years to pay down these debts. So what
but we would owe more, you know, remember, if they are to insist that our workers, of course they should, you know, they should.
Yes. But what
go ahead.
What I'm saying is, during that interim period, if we were to follow the line of using the Chinese workers, which is cheaper, what does our workers, our indigenous people, what do they do for survival and sustenance during that period?
They would have to join the Chinese gang.
But how can they do that if the Chinese aren't hiring them?
The governments have to do like in a lot of the countries. They are restricted. If they come to do a road, they're doing a road. Right?
Yes.
It is up to our countries to look for other, and it gives them a space so they could use their own income or their own money to do some projects rather than waiting on people to come all the time. You do projects that your people would work on.
That is it. And also, this is where the late Mr. Keynes, I heard him right here in the studios in front of me say that they had a policy that there were certain things that the Chinese or whoever came in could not involve themselves in. And one of them was...
That's true. That is a good policy.
Yes, and one of them was that you couldn't come and put like shops and so forth that our indigenous people can. You would have to bring things that we cannot or we don't have the potential to do on our own.
Or they could do like Bahamas and so. Any project you bring in, we must own. I think it's 51% of it.
That again is a good policy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our leaders have got to put their heads together and come up with ways that benefits us as the indigenous populace.
That's true. But they've got to, maybe they need to learn some diplomacy, you know? Because all of this tariff all over the place, America is trying its best to catch up. Catch up when they were busy over there in Afghanistan and everybody, destroying people's country. They say after 20 years they have gained nothing, then they pull out. Then they ask, where can we go? And when they look around, the Chinese have been there. And it's interesting, this tariff war, you know.
But
I listen to the Canadian Prime Minister.
But also, Sylvine, the Chinese have their own history. They learn from the exploitation of the rest of the world, of themselves.
Yeah, yes, that's true. That's true.
So maybe I'm going to kind of try to think positive. Maybe China is indirectly trying to develop others who they see have been exploited and benefit from it at the same time.
They look for poor countries. And they have investment in America too, you know.
Yes. They, as if I'm not mistaken, don't they hold America's biggest debts and so forth?
Yeah, a lot of what we call debt for America is the investment, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. Some people don't know that. A lot is investment.
Yeah, we have another caller. Sylvine, don't go.
Yeah, Miss Henry can stay, because I'm not going to stay long. I'm not a long talker. But now I'm listening to you guys, right? And the thing about China, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's all good and dandy that they're coming to your country, they do something. But when China coming to your country and do anything, they ain't coming to assist you and leave. They're coming to conquer. And if they put down a road, they're going to let you know that road is not yours, it's their road. Ask Jamaica. They ain't coming in, ain't like they so want to come develop your country. They're coming in and because they have some kind of stakeholder in it. They want something.
Well,
it's not like we have a relationship with Taiwan for how many years? Taiwan come in, they teach us how to plant this, plant that, plant. And you never hear Taiwan come in and put out nothing in St. Kitts and claim it.
That is a good point. But
China go in your country, they're going to claim whatever they put down.
Listen.
And when the thing about them, when they come in, right, to come do any work, they don't even say, okay, let the locals do the work. They bring in their workers. They want to bring people from China to do the work. So the local contractors and people who do building and all that, they're not really benefiting from anything because China bringing in workers to do the work. So what is their purpose? They only want something from us.
Can Claire hear me?
Her volume is very loud. There's nothing I can do with it from my end.
Yeah, what you were saying, Quinn?
I was trying to say to you that what China is doing isn't any. Our leaders are intelligent people. What China is doing is there's nothing wrong in it. You don't get something for nothing. Look at the example you made in terms of Taiwan. Taiwan has been laid back, but look what the Caribbean leaders have given Taiwan with all the help that they were getting before China came in. You see how quick they dropped Taiwan?
Ungratefulness is worse than witchcraft. That's the word of God.
So that is the point I'm making. Our leaders they're rational people. They've got a brain. They can think for themselves. So, yeah, China is doing what business people do. They make investment to get profit. Our leaders have got to find a way to make sure that it benefits us in the long term.
But Quint, again, like I tell you, our leaders do not really care about anything benefiting us. They care about the benefit to their pockets.
Then
they show it every day.
Then as one of our callers have a tendency to say, keep changing until you get it right.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's why the next election, elect a new PAM. Let's see what they can do. We don't know what they can do. Let's see. Have a good day, guys.
Okay. Thanks. Sylvine, you're still there?
Yes, I'm still there.
Yeah, her volume.
I understand what Cleo is saying.
Yes.
But But remember I said before, the people in the country are pushing and pressing the government to provide them the same level of standard of living as what they see on the TV.
Yes, 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 yes.
This long time dirt road and whatever. People not gonna take that. You understand? So they will sell anything.
Yes, yes.
Because they want to win. So it isn't all China fault.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It is us, and it is America's neglect.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's American neglect because they're watching all the time. If they were really interested in investing in our countries, they have the ability to do so.
But Sylvine, I believe, right, that where America and Europe are concerned, I felt that after colonialism, after the so-called end of slavery and so forth, I think that they sat back and they expected us to self-destruct.
I don't even think that they look at us as a source of cheap labor.
I
When
don't.
they bring in a hotel, when they bring in hotel and large investment projects, they force our government to give them incentive beyond anything anybody could imagine.
Yes, that is a good point.
No tax, no this, no that.
That is
I mean, they even had been warning them, stop giving these lot of incentives.
Yes, that is a good point.
Yeah,
because
they know.
when
You can't China gonna bring in the vegetables, right?
Yes.
We're talking about 25 by 25, which way? And the hotels importing all what they want?
Yes, yes. So
I
understand. I agree with that reasoning. So they feel that we are just here for them to exploit.
Well, they don't want nobody to get another turn, you know.
Because when you when you look at
they really care, you know. They don't care what happened to us. Only that when they look to see where everybody going, soon they're gonna turn.
Yeah.
We're not interested in the communist thing. You know, we want our country to develop.
We want our country to develop because one of the things that comes out of the point that you made, they come into that is Europe and so forth. They come into your country. They want all these concessions. You give them a period of X amount of years. When that period comes to an end, you see what they do. They take up their business, go out, come back and give it a different name and start all over again.
Some don't go out and do it. On the industrial side, that was a common thing.
Yes.
They just change the name of the company.
Yeah, so you're right.
And then all of the land tax and things drop on us.
Yeah, you're right.
The road infrastructure that they heavy trailers mash up.
Yes.
We have to fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have got to get our people trained. And sometimes we got to think about alternative ways of doing what we do.
Yes.
Because like in Jamaica, well, you can go with the road, we have the land. So that they will negotiate your debt for you. They even write off some of them.
Yes.
America don't do that.
No.
Look at the Southeast Peninsula. It's American companies and whatever. What they doing for us?
Good question.
We put down the road and they want us maintain it.
Yeah.
And the government can't do anything because the land was private before.
Yeah.
You know, so. Well, and then again, you can't, this one China policy.
Yeah.
You think it's a one China the Caribbean islands really interested in? No. They wouldn't mind having diplomatic relations with Taiwan. But China said, look, you can't have me and Taiwan. And some of the people in leadership said, well, all right, Taiwan, we really love you, you know, but we want our country developed.
Yeah. So we're caught between a rock and a hard place.
Well, we choose the rock. So let the rock up on the hard place. But America is late. When I hear Trump going on, they want America first, America. They want to gain. They watch it. People down there buy up on Amazon and Shein now. TikTok nearly killed them. AI killing them.
Yeah. But
so while they think, oh, well, we are the best. Even the iPhone business.
Yeah.
They said the iPhone promised to put 500 billion invest.
Mm.
Well, how much it can cost them to produce the goods? America's not going to work like what the Chinese are working for.
No.
That is why a lot of American companies are in China.
Yeah.
Because the wages are lower.
Yeah.
So when they go, when he forced them to come back, and the price of labor is so high, and the people can't afford to buy them, then the companies just move back out and find another place to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is when you see.
When
Like
when Clinton was in power and he did this, what it was, NAFTA or whatever it was.
I mean, North American free trade.
Yeah, that was where they began to take a lot of the U.S. work out external.
Yeah.
And so that is why a lot of the Americans, they are suffering because their own government took their jobs away from them for cheaper labor.
Well, business, business is about profit.
That is the point.
Nobody gonna bring their business from wherever they got it with the $1.
Yeah.
Wage. Because nobody in America is going to work for that.
We have another caller.
All right then.
Okay. Hello.
Good morning.
Good day. You crossed my mind when I made that statement about changing the change until you get it right.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? That's what you have to do.
Yes.
Right? It's no point if you make a change and they continue with the same stuff, okay? Nothing really changes. You don't reward non-performance by keeping them there. You change again, right? That's what's absolutely. Eventually, somebody will get the message. Put it that way.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But with regards to China.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. I think that we really should diversify our contacts, our trading contacts.
Yes.
Because these days is no point putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yes, I agree.
Okay? We can't offend our giant neighbor to the north. We know what that would result in.
Yeah.
But we certainly can have a nuanced foreign policy, trade policy, and those kinds of things.
Yes.
Okay? We don't have to just lie down and take and do whatever our neighbor to the north says.
Wants, yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's to me, it's laziness if you do that, if you just succumb to whatever they say. I'm sure that they can find a way to do both. To have good relations, of course, with the U.S. and North America. But why should that impede our relations with, let's say, South America or India or China?
But isn't that
or Brazil?
Isn't that what diplomacy means?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You have to be smart in this new environment that we have.
Most definitely.
Okay? And don't just follow suit. Don't just follow everybody. Try and come up with something new.
Yeah.
But the other thing that you did, you played a clip there with the salaries. That is very misleading, eh?
Yeah. Enlighten us as to.
It's misleading in the sense that it does not take into account the perks and so on that these leaders have. Right?
Well,
that those can add up. Yes, you can look at base salaries and so on.
Yes. Well, I kind of disagree with you. I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think that they were just dealing with the base salary. I don't think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. But what I'm saying is, tell me, for instance, what their income is at the end of the year, and I bet you that it is significantly higher.
It is.
Than
It
those
is.
base salaries.
It is. Now, if
Exactly.
if Mr. McMahon, when I'm playing the clip, I'm reading the comments, right, by the individual who are seeing the clips, and they are saying the very same thing that you're saying, that, well, so that means when they give this base salary, our people can analyze for themselves and say, well, okay, if the base salary is this, what about perks? What about the tendency for corruption and blah blah blah? You understand what I'm saying?
But you don't. The thing is, you don't know. Nobody puts a value on these perks.
But we,
if every time, if there's a lot of traveling, for instance,
yes,
right, and there's subsistence and so on involved, that jacks up the income.
Yes,
right?
considerably.
And to say things like, well, it's 3 times the national average, or I think in our case it was 3 times.
Yes,
in a lot of
it was 3
cases
times
was
in our
5.
case. In Antigua, it was 2 times. Yeah.
Barbados 2.5 times, etc., etc.
Yes.
It's all well and good to look at that, but the ordinary, that average that you talk about, we don't have the luxury of whether it's free phone or free electricity or transportation allowance
Yes.
or subsistence and all those things, right? So until you tell me that at the end of the year, the Prime Minister made such and such and such, and it is whatever times the national average, that's why I say it's kind of misleading.
Well,
They hide these things from you, eh?
Well,
and you don't know.
But
who would know, for instance, is the director of audit, but that's after the fact.
Yes.
The Public Accounts Committee would also know, be aware of things like that, but it is non-existent here, right?
Yes.
And so they get away with it.
So
right? We should not be misled by things like that.
But
right?
I don't think
agree that.
I don't think
I totally agree.
I don't think that the individual who was giving the news was intentionally misleading, because because some of those things that you outlined, how are we privy to the information, as you said? Only director of audits and so forth. No, a lot of these things. So how do the individuals who give us that base salary can only go on what they know?
Right. Yeah, I know. I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
But it's like, for instance, like bonuses, right? I mean, when you get a double salary at the end of a year, for instance, you can bet your life that the ordinary person double salary is no way comparable to the double salary of, let's say, ministers and the prime minister and so on.
You know
right?
that
all those things should be taken into account, and I'm all for rewarding our leaders well.
Yes.
Okay. But don't mislead me.
Right?
Well, don't tell me. Well, my base salary is this, or I'm only getting this ahead of a permanent secretary who does mostly work anyway. Don't give me that. Right? Tell me up front, this is what my income is, and I can then make an assessment as to whether or not your performance justifies that remuneration.
Yes.
It's a misleading that I don't like.
Yes.
Right? Come straight out, man. Be transparent and open, and give people the information. Don't try to mislead them.
But the misleading is on the part of our leaders, not on the part of the news media who does not always have the information. That is what I'm saying.
And that's true. And it's deliberate on their part. I mean,
yes.
They don't want
us to know.
Man on the street to know.
Yes.
Exactly. Right? They don't want to make it sound like they're making such a big sacrifice.
Yes.
When in fact,
yes.
they're not.
They're not.
They're pretty well okay.
You see that point?
They're not living like paupers.
You see the point you made about double salary? I want us to maybe in a future program broach that, because I feel that when it comes to double salary, certain people who get a certain salary should be exempted from that. I believe this should be for the smaller man, for the people who get a certain amount of income. I don't think it should be a broad thing where everybody, I mean, a man who gets 15, 20,000 a month, you're saying he's going to get a double salary? I disagree with that.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, right, I am feeling that what should happen in the case of politicians is that, yes, you pay them well, you give them their base, and you get the perks and so on. But when it comes to things like double salaries and bonuses,
Yes.
they should get a big bonus if at the end of their term they are re-elected.
Yes.
Because it means that they have done a good job.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and are deserving of a big bonus.
Yes.
But in between, when they're doing their mundane stuff and what we're paying them to do anyway, whether it's fixing roads or building schools or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, that's ordinary.
Yeah,
if they get re-elected,
that's
it
what
means
they're being
they've done
paid
a good
for.
Job
Yes.
by their employers.
Yes.
They've done a good job as assessed by their employers, which is the electorate.
Yeah.
And so are deserving of a big salary.
Yeah,
A big,
I agree. I agree.
Bonus.
I
bonus.
Agree. Anyway,
yes.
we've come to the news point, so I
All
have
right,
to.
then.
Thanks for indulging, and do take care. Well, it's 2 minutes moving away from the 12 o'clock hour, and time for our news and sports. Thank you for being in tune. Do join me again in the near future, the Almighty Creator willing such.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by The Grange and Carry Brewery.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoyed the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.